This is the Shopware Hub Cast, where your host Sander Mangel and Dennis Höting, resident Community Hub expert and Director of Product Development at Shopware, uncover the stories of the people that make our community. This episode, they talk to Phillip Weitkamp, software engineer at Shopware.
Phillip, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. You are the man, the genius behind Shopware Build. And now everyone at home is like, Shopware Build? They would have known if there was a SCD already. Unfortunately, we have to wait until September. Everyone get your tickets. So very short elevator pitch, like everyone is an investor here. What is Shopware Build and why do I need it in my life?
So Shopware Build is made to make your life a lot easier. So if you are an agency or a partner working with extensions and so on, you need your test environments. You need to test everything out, to pitch shopware to your customers and so on. And yeah, some agencies have their own solutions, but it's not the best solution to have something running with GitHub CIs or something else. And this is where Shopware Build comes in. We have a solution which will make Shopware instances in just a few seconds. So you just need to click a few buttons, enter a name for your instance, and in around 20 or 30 seconds, your instance is up and running with your version you're liking. Maybe Shopware 6.7, which is released a few days ago, or also Shopware 5. It's also possible if you are crazy enough for it.
Living on the edge. That's amazing. So basically you do all the provisioning, all the installation, all that. I don't need to take care of this. I don't need to think about a hosting provider or whatever. I mean, this is for testing purposes only, of course, but still, right? I don't need to spin up a gazillion instances just because I want to test my plugin on the last 5 versions of Shopware 6.
Right.
Or 5, whatever. If we really
right.
want. That's really cool. And I think we'll speak in a little bit maybe how that ties into the community hub, but let's not give away too much. Let's first talk about your career path, because that is, I would say, probably one of the most unique ones I've ever heard about. You, as a young boy in Germany, woke up one morning and you didn't think, I want to go into IT. You thought, I really, really, really like meat.
Yeah, right. That's how my career started as a butcher salesman. And I worked for around 6 years as a butcher. And it was quite a nice time. I got a lot of customers and I know how to talk with them. And it's formed my life the first years. And but someday I got a bit sick and I needed a retraining. Yeah, and that's where I come up with IT and started a retraining at Shopware, where I am now and where I started my IT career.
Amazing. How did you go from butcher to code? What was your train of thought there?
I was always interested in IT, and so I was thinking, hey, why not going back to the IT, and started my retraining as an IT specialist.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so that's less of a jump than it looks. Love it. All right. And so maybe you started at Shopware, right? A friend, you told me earlier, posted something on Shopware. Probably you never heard about Shopware. You walked through the door. Who did your interview? Do you remember?
Yeah, Phillip Weitkamp did it and Moritz. And it was an interesting interview because it was in the time of Corona and it was fully remote. And just a day later, I got called back, hey, you can start here. And so I started at Shopware.
That's cool. I really enjoy that our organization was always and still is quite fast in those processes. So when I started at Shopware like 12 years ago, it was like, I know I sent the application on a Monday or Tuesday, I'm not sure. And then on a Thursday, I got the interview and directly got the contract like really, really fast. And I think that's a good thing. You've been working in customer support most of the time. And then I guess, you saw a problem, you did not just accept the problem, but rather decided, okay, there's something that needs to be solved here. That in that context, what specifically sparked your idea of Shopware Build?
Yeah, in the Shopware onboarding, I got the problem most of the time that I had to spin up some virtual machines with a web server, and there I installed Shopware 6, and that's again and again and again for every single version, and it's just eating time. I was thinking that then there must be a better way to do it. And then I started to create a simple batch file, and then I translated it to Linux as simple bash script. And then some colleagues got interested in this. And I was thinking, hey, let's make this bigger. Let's start with the UI. So I got out my C# skills and started to build an UI around those scripts. Just a few weeks later, we got the first prototype, which I shared between my colleagues. And they loved it. It was no longer time consuming to create an instance for every single case. Just click a button and you got your version running.
Actually, I used it a lot when I was helping the sales department do demos. Right, we would either do a demo for the Nordics or for the US later on, and you just click in, you configure the shop, you upload the logo, do some colors, maybe throw in an extension or something like that. Have a nice shop to at least do a bit of demoing. It was a real lifesaver, absolutely.
Yeah, and like you said, that the sales was also interested, so I needed a second server, and yes, I spinned up a second server for it for the sales, and then the colleagues of the extension testing teams come up to me and say, hey, we could use it too. And that's where everything goes bigger and bigger. And I had to rethink a little bit and rebuild this completely. And that's where the second version comes up with the idea to have a little bit more possibilities to scale up. And now we have a system which we can scale up indefinitely. There's no limit to scale this thing up, and that's how it's working today.
And I remember at one point, then I think it was Mark Stanley who initially approached you and me and was like, hey, there's something cool going on here. Maybe there's a possibility to utilize that also for Community Hub, which we are in fact using it live already. Can you elaborate a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. So, someday you come up to me and ask for this special, you got this special request, and I was thinking that's not a problem. It's already there. We just can start using it, just implement it in the Community Hub, and now the Community Hub got the possibility to, spin up your own learning environment. So you just got your learning path, and there you have a little box where you click start environment and can just start with your learning path in around 10 seconds.
Yeah. A few weeks ago, I did some tests, and I was always between 9 and 13 seconds or so. So it's pretty fast, and I think it's something that is appreciated in the learning experiences, that we are having real learning environments there now. I think that's something really, really cool. And I was also impressed by the fact that, we are utilizing that Shopware Build is fully API driven, which is pretty cool. So we can just use it in the Community Hub, but we can even use it as flexible as hydrating state into the specific environment, which is pretty cool. So if you want to learn something about, Shopware, about the Shopware variants, for example, then you need a certain state in the database and maybe some things configured already, and you can just hydrate your instance to the right state so that you can learn about Shopware variants, which is pretty cool. And we are even utilizing that for, we wrote a custom little plugin that communicates with the Shopware Community Hub to evaluate whether the steps you did in your environment are correct. So you have real interactivity here, right? And what I was impressed with was that all of those things were like, yeah, of course that's possible. Yeah, that's not a problem. We can do that. And that was pretty cool. So did you like, when you initially started that, or would you have anticipated that it's being used in such a broad scale, or how did you think about that?
I just was thinking about, it's a nice tool to have in the support. And as the sales came up with their request and then the extension testing, then I know, that's something bigger. And now I need to think a bit more about it and how to get this scaled up properly with everything. And until now, it's working quite well.
Was there something specific in developing Shopware Build so far that you would describe as the most challenging part so far?
Yeah, the most challenging part was the group system to group up the departments and therefore also set up the permissions for everyone so no one can see what the other one is doing. And that was quite challenging and took some time to get this up and running. But now we have a very fine-grained permission system behind of that. And it's allowing us to have something running a bit more smoothly.
Yeah, that's cool.
Can you tell maybe a little bit more about the tech stack in general? I think we're all developers, or at least developer related here. What am I looking at? Is it that you build everything in the Shopware as a plugin?
No, it's a software for itself. So we got the hub. We are calling it now. The hub will be renamed sometime later because we already have the community hub. So
naming things, right?
Naming things, right. Let's call it hub for the time being. And then we have also the servers on the other side, and that's called the node. And it's written in C#. And the main part you will see as a user is the web UI. And this is programmed in Blazor. It's a .NET framework for web assemblies, and also did this API first. So we have this web interface for now, but we can just switch it with another interface like Vue.js, or we can just go there and use all those functions also in Git CIs. Just connect via API and say, hey, I need an instance, spin it up, and it's just reporting to the node server, hey, I need this instance now. It's running over TCP and got all this information, the name, for which user and on which node. And that's quite simple. And I think that's also the key feature of it, to keep it simple.
Yeah. And maybe short question, why C#?
Yeah, mainly because I already know C#. And the other thing is C# is very easy to develop. So you have a really short time to market with it. Yeah. So you just can add your changes. Your IDE will check for most of the errors. And let's have another one looking over it and push it to the master, and it will just work. And the most of the things you need came up with some NuGet packages that are maintained by Microsoft or some other maintainers. And that also, it's a huge library of packages you can just use.
No, that makes sense. And it is very powerful, right? And you already alluded to that, but it allows you to build very scalable, right? So whether it's one instance that being spun up or 100 instances, you basically can give that back out to different instances.
Yeah, to different nodes. Yeah. So if I need 200 instances, I just set up 2 or 3 nodes, and on those it's get spread out.
I don't want to see the infrastructure bill of your load testing scenarios. That must be very impressive. And so when we're talking about an instance, right, we're not just talking about a very simple LAMP stack server, right? We can get pretty technical with digital sales rooms, for example.
Right. I also added the possibility to spin up digital sales rooms with a proxy server. It's also just one button to press to have digital sales rooms running, where some developers got a little bit more struggle with it. They were quite surprised as I said, hey, it's just this, and running. And that's quite nice.
Yeah, very cool. It's definitely a very nice tool. I mean, setting up digital sales rooms just for demo without this tool would be not really feasible, I think.
Yeah, would be a little bit more pain.
For me, one fact about the system that I really appreciate is this whole templating system. So that you can basically, so everything is based on a template. Maybe there's a base template for a simple Shopware 6.7, of course, shop that you just spin up, and then you do maybe some manual changes in that shop, add some products, stuff like that, and basically transfer the whole shop into a certain state. And then in Shopware Build, you just decide, okay, this state of the shop is now a new template that can be used for creating new instances. And that's for me, that's a really powerful tool or also iterative evolution of such an environment, and really powerful for really getting into all those very specific use cases.
On the server side, it's also really simple. So it's I taking the instance like it is, add some placeholders for database and database user, and also in the .env file, I change the app URL, throw everything as zip folder, put to a template storage, and the next one just can grab it, change the placeholders to his credentials. It's all automatic, so you don't have to do anything with it. ShopDev is doing this for you. So it's a one-to-one copy of the instance, and just with another URL and database behind of it.
And I think to your point earlier, Dennis, that is the power of it, right? Because it's so many times that I try to follow a tutorial on any coding topic, and I'll just be struggling with getting to the point where I can actually start with that tutorial, right? Because it expects me to have this platform up and running in that version, with this state, with this installed, with that installed. Guess what? Nothing works on my machine. So I spent half a day just getting started with the tutorial. Well, here in the learning paths, right, it takes away such a barrier to learning where you can just jump into a learning path and dive right into what you need to do, instead of worrying that the state of your environment might not be exactly as it should be, right? Where you get a lot of false positives.
You get your safe space, your cozy little safe space, and you can work on that. And you know it's all there. It's nice, yeah.
Yeah. There's always this one thing in a project where you get stuck and it takes days, and then all of a sudden you wake up at the middle of the night and you're like...
That was digitization. It was quite a ride to get this implemented, because no one really could help me besides Timo and his team. Timo, the product owner of Digital Sales Room, and he got his team, and it was I got a problem. I sent a problem up to his team, and then there was waiting 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Yeah, we found a bug. Just wait. Okay, waiting for the next release. And I tried again, and there was some parts of the documentation that was not that great. And it's already fixed because of me. And it took me around 4 to 5 weeks to just implement digital sales rooms, because of this struggle to set it up and got the proxy working with it. But it was frustrating.
Okay, love it. So I hope that everybody spinning this up, the digital sales rooms, thanks you quietly.
I hope.
All right. So we have a 2A Shopware build. It's in the community hub. What's coming up? What can we expect in the near future?
So like Dennis said earlier, there time slot on the tech stage on the Shopware Community Day, which was sadly cancelled. We will try to bring this up to our partners, to our integration partners and solution partners, to have this also for their own company and use it as test environment and for pitches and so on, to also enable their own sales colleagues to just do some clicks and without need to contact any developer. Hey, can you create an instance for this pitch? This will also take 1 or 2 days for HPC to get this running.
Yeah, and I think that is cool, right? Because we see so many platforms out there basically giving up on partner support. And I'm just talking about an unnamed platform here that recently fired off all their post-sale consultants. Right. And at the same time, Shopware is doubling down on actually, maybe not by hiring post-sales consultants, although we could from that platform, but by actually building the tools to make sure that our partners are enabled, right? That it is easy to give a demo, that it is easy to test an extension or what have you. I think that's a very powerful state.
That's where it's going.
Very cool. So let's say I am a partner and I am desperate to get my hands on this. What do I do?
So we already set up a page for the Shopware Community Day, and it's just beta.shopware.build. And there's just a little form where you can enter your mail address and your name, and then we will come back to you and give you some more information.
Very nice. Very nice. Love it. We'll also link that in the show notes. All right, maybe to close down, what, in your expert opinion, is the tip that you want to give to all the other developers out there who might be building the next Shopware build tool, right? So they get stuck on repetitive tasks. What is your top tip?
Just don't be afraid to start with automation. Start small, like me, with some scripts, and bring it up to some colleagues, and maybe also start a beta in your own company with your toolings and show them how great it is. And from there on, you can get it bigger and bigger, or maybe it's not that great, but it's great for me. And so when it's great for you, it's perfect.
And before you know it, you'll be on stage at the SCD, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I would like to add here as an advice to maybe some of the leaders in companies. I think this is a great example of how it really pays off if you grant a lot of flexibility and a lot of freedom for, dig into that solution, try something out, talk about it, share it with your colleagues. Don't just develop it in your cave, but share it with your colleagues. But I think this is a great example where this really paid off. So we granted a lot of flexibility and a lot of freedom. And I think that was just the right decision. And I would give that advice to basically every company out there in the tech sector. It's about innovation, right?
Get out of your cave and talk to your colleagues. I think on that note, we can wrap it up. Phillip, thank you so much for coming out and talking to us, sharing your career path, sharing everything you have done with Shopware Builds. I am looking forward to hearing you on stage in September. I'll definitely be there, front row. Thank you again.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was great. Thank you.